Elon Musk claims the king should dissolve parliament in a fresh attack on Sir Keir Starmer. I'm going to read into this more from the Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Independent with the headline that Elon Musk claims the king should dissolve parliament in a fresh attack on Sir Keir Starmer. What? The tech billionaire continues social media criticism of the Prime Minister over the handling of the historic child abuse in Oldham. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So what's this about? This is about a child sex scandal, that abuse that's been taking place in Oldham, and for a while this has been something this is not just something that's just been recent. This has been dragging on for a while, and while I do think that we should be doing absolutely everything we can to take down any form of child abuse in any way, shape or form, wherever it is in the country, we shouldn't be taking advice from a tech billionaire, an Australian tech billionaire who doesn't have any investments, who is not in any way benefiting the UK in any way, shape or form, and clearly is not thinking about the well-being of people here. Elon Musk is not doing this with the intent of because he cares about British children or he cares about the UK. No, this is an attempt to. This is the only reason he's making this, is to smear Keir Starmer and the Labour government. That is all this is. This has nothing to do with him. He does not give a damn about these children being abused in any way, shape or form. He doesn't care that the last 14 years that we have had austerity, we've had Brexit, and we're much worse off as the UK is much worse off as a result of the Conservatives. He doesn't care about us. All he cares about is, from his point of view, he's thinking, how can I seize money? How can I seize power from the UK? And his way of doing that is through reform. And he knows he can influence Nigel Farage and reform if they were to ever become, ever seize power in the UK. And this is what it's about. It's about him undermining Sir Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. That's what this is all about. And let's be very clear about this. Do not trust this man. Do not take anything this man says for it. Now, as for whether there should be a public inquiry into this, I believe there should be. I think, yeah, any kind of child abuse, especially if it's on high levels, if it's not being dealt with on a local level, then it needs to be dealt with on a government level. Does it come at the expense of taxpayers? Yes, it does. But does it mean, yeah, that there is justice done at the end and that we learn from these problems and it benefits us in the long term? Yes, if we end up learning from the mistakes, learning why it happened, learning what we must do to make sure these things happen again, I'm all for that. Yes, even at the expense of taxpayer money, because I'm sure you will all agree with me that it's very important that we protect every single child in the UK. So let's read a bit more into this, you guys. So, Elon Musk has continued his criticism of the UK government, calling on the King to step in and dissolve Parliament after Labour rejected a call for a national inquiry into child grooming. And if there is sufficient evidence, there should be a national inquiry into this. If there is sufficient evidence. That's the only thing that I will say. But calling on the King to step in is ridiculous. The tech billionaire triggered an explosive row on Thursday over Sir Keir Starmer's handling of the historic child abuse in Oldham, after he suggested the Prime Minister had failed to bring rape gangs to justice when he was Director of Public Prosecutions. In his latest attack on Sir Keir, Mr Musk shared a post asking whether King Charles should dissolve Parliament and order a general election for the sake and security of Britain. This is absolute nonsense. It is stupid. Anyone who's suggesting otherwise just doesn't understand how democracy works. It is undemocratic to ask the King to dissolve Parliament and order a general election when we've already had one. I know it's not the outcome everyone wanted. I would rather have the Green Party in power. I'm sure some people would rather have Reform in power, but this is the electoral system we have. And you may not like it, but guess what? If you It's called democracy. You don't have to like the outcome of the general election. Hell, I didn't like the outcome of Brexit, but we had it. But it doesn't mean to say that we can't have another one in the future. Same with the general election. Yeah, we're going to have one again in several years' time. And if you want a different outcome, well, it's down to you to convince people to vote differently otherwise. But to just because on one topic in particular to demand that the king dissolve parliament in order of general election. So it's just how lack of understanding that he has of how the UK systems work. Mr. Musk retweeted the X thread with one word comment, yes. The 53-year-old Starlink boss continued to wade into the debate overnight, hours after he posted that safeguarding minister Jess Phillips deserves to be in prison after she denied requests for the Home Office to lead to a public inquiry into child sexual exploitation in Oldham on Thursday. Mr. Musk also reported an article in the Daily Telegraph by the Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick, in which he said the grooming gangs should be renamed torture rape gangs. I'm not going to have monetization for this video, am I? He wrote that Mr. Musk's comments had shamed the establishment by taking more interest in bringing these rape gangs to justice in one evening than most of the British establishment has for decades. A number of prosecutions involving grooming gangs were taking place around the time Sir Keir took up his post as DPP. He launches reforms into how CPS handles child sex abuse cases, as well as saying that ethnically or political correctness should not get in the way of prosecutions. Sir Keir has also blamed the previous Conservative government for not bringing in a duty to report safeguarding issues. Hours after Mr. Musk's intervention on Thursday, Tory leader Kemi Badenoch demanded a full national inquiry into organised grooming gangs, with the Shadow Home Secretary Chris Phillips and Shadow Safeguarding Minister Alicia Kearns writing to the Home Office. I'm sorry, but the Tories cannot say anything. They need to shut up. If they generally cared about the situation, they would have dealt with it when they were in power for 14 years. So I'm not going to take any lectures from Kemi or the Conservatives on this matter. While Ms Phillips says she recognises the strength of feeling for the Home Office-led inquiry into Oldham, she told the local council the government will not intervene. I believe it's for Oldham Council alone to decide to commission an inquiry into child sexual exploitation locally rather than for the government to intervene, she said. Yeah, but do they have the funding for it? The last Tory government also rejected a similar request from Oldham's council for a public inquiry, saying it is for local authorities to commission local inquiries. So they asked the Tory government, they said no. Now they've asked a Labour government and they've said no. I do think there should be something here. Responding to the criticism, a Labour spokesperson pointed out that the party called for and supported a national inquiry into child sexual abuse under Professor Alex Jay, which concluded in 2022, as well as supporting an independent review commissioned by the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burdham, which covered Oldham. Well, did we not get the answers that we did back in 2022? Maybe we did not. The spokesperson also said the party would welcome and support an independent investigation commissioned by Oldham Council, which puts victims and voices at its heart, following examples of Telford and Rotherham. Mr Musk had engaged in a long-running war of words with Sir Keir Starmer's administration, which came to a head during summer's far-right riots when the social media boss claimed civil war is inevitable in the UK. The Tesla boss' latest attack comes just days after Downing Street was forced to defend Sir Keir Starmer's government as unashamedly pro-growth after Mr Musk lashed out at his policies. Responding to calls to build a new plant for his electric cars in Scotland, Mr Musk said very few companies would be willing to put money into the UK under Labour. Well, that's kind of hard to say that when we've just seen a massive cash injection of investment coming in last year by this Labour government. So it's very hard for people to believe that. While Downing Street reject Mr Musk's assessment of the government's policies, it is sought to avoid being drawn into a public spat with the owner of X social media site and a member of Mr Trump's inner circle. Yeah, that's the thing they want to avoid, but he wants to influence British politics when he has no clue about British politics. Like I said, Elon Musk is not interested in making our lives better in any way, shape or form. He's thinking, how can I seize power in the UK? How can I milk the British public for all their money? That's exactly what he's thinking. He's not thinking about how we can make our lives better. You know, if you take the politics out of Elon Musk, he's a very tech savvy, very smart billionaire. But put the politics into him, and he's a completely different animal. You know, and it's a real shame that he's gone down this rabbit hole. I really, really is. Like, He's not interested in making lives better. Now, as for this child abuse, they said they had one and it concluded in 2022. So, do we need another one? I'm not sure, but maybe some of you may make the arguments that there should be another one, that there should be a national inquiry on a national level. Maybe there should be, because clearly there might be a case. There's clearly some information about this, perhaps, that may have come to light. Like I said, on child abuse, any abuse, it should be taken extremely seriously, and if there is sufficient evidence, there should be something done into it. If there is enough a case for a national inquiry, then there should be one. But I don't know enough about it to speak enough on it, in particular of child abuse in Oldham. But to make the claims that Elon Musk saying that the king should dissolve Parliament and a general election should be called shows just how little knowledge he has about the UK and its people and politics and how it works here. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of the historic child abuse in Oldham? Do you think there should be a public inquiry? What do you guys honestly think about this situation on this in particular? Let me know your thoughts and more on this down in the comment section below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button, be greatly appreciated, and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing, because it really does help support the channel. If you want to go one step further and finally support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.